Hello and welcome back to US Times Today, your go-to spot for diving deep into the facts behind the headlines. Today, we're unraveling a topic that has echoed through the halls of history and social media alike: the 10 most notable lies of Donald Trump's presidency. From exaggerated inauguration crowd sizes to climate change denials, we'll dissect the statements that sparked debates, laughter, and sometimes sheer disbelief. But it's not just about calling out falsehoods, it's about understanding the impact these claims had on politics, public trust, and policy. So, buckle up as we take a factual yet fascinating journey through these 10 notable moments. And remember, we're not just here to inform, we're here to provoke thought and conversation. Let's get started. Number 1. The most ridiculous subject of a lie: the Boy Scouts. When I emailed the Boy Scouts of America in 2017 about Trump's claim that the head of the Boy Scouts had called him to say that his bizarrely political address to the Scouts National Jamboree was the greatest speech that was ever made to them, I didn't expect a reply. One of the hardest things about fact-checking Trump was that a lot of people he lied about did not think it was in their interest to be quoted publicly contradicting a vengeful president. The Boy Scouts did. A senior Scouts source, a phrase I never expected to have to type as a political reporter in Washington, D.C., confirmed to me that no call ever happened. Yep, the President of the United States was lying about the Boy Scouts. Number 2. The ugliest smear lie: Representative Ilhan Omar supports Al-Qaeda. At a White House event in 2019, Trump grossly distorted a 2013 quote from Representative Ilhan Omar to try to get his supporters to believe that the Minnesota Democrat had expressed support for the terrorist group Al-Qaeda. Trump went on to deliver additional bigoted attacks against Omar in the following months. But it's hard to imagine a more vile lie for the president to tell about a Muslim official, who had already been getting death threats, than a smear that makes her sound pro-terrorist. Number 3. The most entertaining lie shtick: the burly crying men who had never cried before. They were almost always male. They were almost always large. They were almost always blue collar. And, according to the president, they kept walking up to him crying tears of gratitude, even though they had almost always not previously cried for years. Trump's series of tears stories, which sometimes doubled as Sir stories, helped me understand his lying as a kind of performance art. The stories were oddly grandiose, like something you'd hear from a two-bit foreign strongman. They were also pure shtick. Trump was like a touring stand-up comic, refining and reusing his favorite dishonesty bits until they stopped working for him. Number 4. The most traditional big lie: Trump didn't know about the payment to Stormy Daniels. We've established that Trump was not your traditional political liar. One of his distinguishing features is that he lied pointlessly, dissembling about trivial subjects for trivial reasons. But he also lied when he needed to. When he told reporters on Air Force One in 2018 that he did not know about a $130,000 payment to porn performer Stormy Daniels and that he did not know where his then-attorney Michael Cohen got the money for the payment, it was both audacious, Trump knew, because he had personally reimbursed Cohen, and kind of conventional. The president was lying to try to get himself out of a tawdry scandal. Number 5. The biggest lie by omission: Trump ended family separation. Much of Trump's lying was clumsy, half-baked. Some of it was almost art. Here's what he told NBC's Chuck Todd in 2019 about his widely controversial policy of separating migrant parents from their children at the border. "You know, under President Obama you had separation. I was the one that ended it." Yes, Trump signed a 2018 order to end the family separation policy. What he did not mention to Todd is that what he had ended was his own policy, a plan announced by his own attorney general that had made family separation standard rather than occasional, as it had been under Obama. All of Trump's words in those 2 sentences to Todd were accurate in themselves. But he was lying because of what he left out. Number 6. The most shameless campaign lie: Biden will destroy protections for pre-existing conditions. Trump's re-election campaign was consistently and consciously dishonest, especially in its attempts to cast Joe Biden as a frightening radical. When Trump claimed in September that Biden would destroy protections for people with pre-existing health conditions, though the Obama-Biden administration created the protections, though the protections were overwhelmingly popular, though Biden was running on preserving them, and though Trump himself had tried repeatedly to weaken them, Trump was not merely lying but turning reality upside down. Number 7. The lie: he fled, he got veterans' choice. Trump could have told a perfectly good factual story about the Veterans' Choice healthcare program Obama signed into law in 2014. It wasn't good enough, so he replaced it with a more expansive program he signed into law in 2018. That's not the story he did tell, whether out of policy ignorance, a desire to erase Obama's legacy, or simply because he is a liar. Instead, he claimed over and over, more than 160 times before I lost count, that he is the one who got the Veterans' Choice program passed after other presidents tried and failed for years. And why not stretch? He knew he probably wouldn't be challenged by a press corps drowning in other Trump drama. It wasn't until August 2020 that he was asked about the lie to his face. He promptly left the room. Number 8. The Crazy Uncle Lie Award: Windmill Noise Causes Cancer. It was a problem for the country that the president was not only a conspiracy theorist himself but immersed in conspiracy culture, regularly stumbling upon ludicrous claims and then sharing them as fact. For such a fierce critic of the media's use of anonymous sources, Trump sure liked to use a lot of unnamed sources himself. His stories were full of nonsense he attributed to people or that he claimed they say. One of the most bonkers they say items, his 2019 declaration that they say the noise from windmills causes cancer. After Trump amplified another conspiracy lie in 2020, NBC's Savannah Guthrie admonished him by saying that you're not, like, someone's crazy uncle who can just retweet whatever. Except he was, until Twitter took down his account. Number 9. The most hucksterish lie: that plan was coming in 2 weeks. Trump's big healthcare plan was eternally coming in 2 weeks. So were a bunch of other plans and announcements. Trump is, at his core, a huckster. Every moment of his presidency was a chance for him to sell someone on something, whether or not that something actually existed. And if they asked when they could actually see the magic elixir he said was being brewed just over there behind the curtain, he would just have to delay them until they forgot about it. Number 10. The most depressing lie: Trump won the election. Trump's long White House campaign against verifiable reality has culminated with his lie that he is the true winner of the 2020 presidential election he clearly, certifiably, and fairly lost. To many of us, it's ludicrous nonsense. But to millions of deluded Americans, it's the truth. And it has now gotten people killed. The nation's truth problem, clearly, isn't just a Trump problem. With this last blizzard of deception and the Capitol insurrection it fomented, Trump has shown us, once more, just how detached from reality much of his political base has become, or always was. The most boring serial lie: the trade deficit with China used to be $500 billion. Trump, an incorrigible exaggerator, rarely chose to use an accurate number when he could instead use an inaccurate bigger number. So he said well over 100 times that, before his presidency, the US for years had a $500 billion annual trade deficit with China, though the actual pre-Trump deficit never even reached $400 billion. Trump made versions of the $500 billion claim so many times that it became almost physically painful for me to fact-check it anymore.